I just want to apologize in advance if all you hear is cicadas. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. Hi, my name is Liz, and today we're going to talk about my summer TBR. I am so freaking excited for summer. I'm so excited for my TBR coming up because I feel like a lot of these books are books that I've just been waiting for so long. I do have a reread, I have a lot of romance, I have a lot of fantasy. I feel like a lot of the books scream summer to me, and some of them are new releases that have been released now, like this past month, but I've been waiting to get them for summer because I just know it's the type of books that I'm going to want to read this summer. So it's been very hard, anxiously waiting to go out and buy these books. But I have about half of them already, and then the other half I will put up a little picture of the cover of the book, and I just want to talk about them. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So first up on my summer TBR, I want to go ahead and talk about my romances. Starting out with a bang, we are going to talk about Happy Place by Emily Henry. No, I have not read this yet, which is crazy to me because it came out last year, I think. So our story follows these two characters who have been dating for a really long time, but they broke up. None of their friends know. And every year their friends go on this weekend or week-long getaway to Maine. They decide to go on this vacation and not tell their friends that they're broken up. So they're essentially fake dating. I've heard that this is a very just deep and emotional story, and it's just done really well. So I think it's gonna be really fun seeing the couple slowly fall back in love. I know I'm absolutely gonna love it. Next up, we have Emily Henry's Beach Read. This will be a reread for me. I have read this book, I think twice already. I just absolutely love this book. This is a 5-star read for me. It's a very deep and emotional story about this girl who goes to her father's lake house, and her father has passed away, and she's going to clean out his lake house. This is a secret lake house that her and her mother did not know about, didn't know it existed. While she is there, she runs into her neighbor, who is actually her rival from college. So they're both authors, and they both write very different genres. However, they strike up this deal to see who can sell the most books by swapping genres for the summer. It's a very fun and just beautiful story. The banter's amazing. The characters are amazing. I'm so excited to jump back into this world. The next book that I'm going to be reading is The Setup by Lizzie Dent. I've actually owned this book for well over a year, maybe 2 years, honestly. I don't know why it's taken me so long to read it. I'm really looking forward to this book because, mainly, Emily Henry has a blurb on the back that says, exactly the kind of summer read I'm constantly on the hunt for. I love, love, love Lizzie Dent. If you've loved One Last Stop or Book Lovers or Schitt's Creek, you'll want this. I love all of those things. It follows our main character who ends up somehow impersonating a fortune teller. The guy whose fortune she's trying to read, she kind of just falls in love with him. It's like love at first sight. So she decides to tell him that in 3 months he will meet the love of his life at a pub. She decides that she's going to take those 3 months leading up to it to turn herself into the perfect woman. However, at the same time, she has a new housemate who is a guy. He starts filling her head with doubt on what is the one. I think it's just gonna be the perfect summer read. Next up, we have Christina Lauren's One True Love Experiment, which I have owned this for over a year now as well. I bought this last summer. So this book follows a filmmaker who is assigned a new reality TV series to save his job. He ends up meeting his ex-wife's favorite romance author. I think I said that right. And decides to help her find romance herself. I just think this is going to be such a cute and fun and quirky read. And the next few romance books I have on my list, I don't actually own yet. First one is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I've heard great things about this book. It just came out a month ago. It literally says Just for the Summer. So I'm going to read it in the summer. The book follows two people who feel like they are cursed at finding true love. Every person that they've ever dated, whenever they break up with them, they end up meeting their soulmate right after dating them. They decide to date each other in order to then break up and break the curse for each other. So that way the next person they meet will be their soulmate. I have also heard that this is a very deep and emotional story that a lot of people think, oh, it's going to be this cute rom-com, but it definitely isn't. Abby Jimenez, with her writing style, she just does this so well, where all of her characters have so much depth and they're all working through something, and it's a very realistic depiction, I feel like, of people nowadays. Also sprinkling in the romance, it just makes you really fall in love with the characters and the couple. Next up, we have The Rule Book. I have read the cheat sheet. I really enjoyed that one. It was very cheesy, but it was a very quick and fast read, and I feel like The Rule Book is going to be the same way, just knowing this author's writing. It follows this NFL football player who ends up with an agent who is his ex from college. I think that it involves a lot of pranks. It was not a mutual breakup, so I think that'll be really interesting and fun to read about. Next up, we have Ready or Not. Our main character, she ends up having a one-night stand, which is very out of character for her, and she finds herself pregnant. During this whole process, her best friend's older brother decides to step up and kind of support her and help her through the 9 months of her pregnancy. She has some complicated feelings towards the baby's father, and it's the pregnancy trope, which I have mixed feelings on in general, but I feel like with this story and with just what I've read on the back, I think it's gonna be really fun, and I think I'm gonna really enjoy it how it's done in this book. Next up, we have Girl Abroad by by Elle Kennedy. I love Elle Kennedy. She has a lot of hockey sports romances. I'm really looking forward to this one though, because I feel like it's something brand new from her, where it follows our main character, who is the daughter of a retired rock star, and she is studying abroad. She finds herself rooming with all of these guys. I feel like this is going to feel like New Girl on steroids. There's like a love triangle kind of going on, which I don't love, but I'm interested to see how Elle Kennedy does it. And the next one is a novel love story, and this one is by Ashley Poston, who wrote 7-Year Slip, which I gave a 5-star last year, and or did I read that this year? Did I read that in January? So I'm really excited about this one. Her main character, her car breaks down. She finds herself in this town, which feels like it is literally taken out of a book. And when she kind of further investigates, it turns out it is literally a story in one of her favorite author's books. This author has not finished the story yet. She's like stuck in this time warp. She feels like it is her mission to help this story find its happy ending. And while she's doing that, she runs into this grumpy bookstore owner who she's like, I don't know who this character is. He's not in this book. I'm really looking forward to it. And knowing Ashley Poston and her writing style, I know she's going to bring it to life. This is just such a fun concept for any reader. Like, you're literally stuck inside of a book. I'm going to love this story regardless, I think, of whether or not it's a happy ending. I think it's going to be so much fun to read. And the last romance book or books that I would like to read this summer is the Chestnut Springs series. This is a cowboy romance, lots of books. I think there's like 5 or 6. I'm really looking forward to reading this series because I've heard nothing but good things. And the summertime, hey, that's when I go line dancing. That's when I go to country concerts. That's when I want to do all of these country cowboy things. So a cowboy romance just sounds perfect for this summer. I just bought a new pair of cowboy boots for a concert coming up soon. So I'm just so looking forward to having some books that are about cowboys. I don't know. I think it'll be really fun and just like a great vibe for the summer. And now we're going to get into the fantasies. The first book that I've heard nothing but good things about is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen. I don't know a ton. I know it's a Norse-inspired fantasy romance, but I don't really know much else. Anytime, honestly, that I try to read the synopsis, I get kind of confused. Hopefully it makes more sense when I'm actually reading it. But as of this moment, I honestly don't even know what to say about this book, except the main character, she has like a drop of goddess blood in her system. She's called like a shield maiden, but I honestly don't really know what that means. I'm hoping that it's just a fun ride. Next up, we have To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo. It kind of sounds like it's a Little Mermaid retelling a little bit. I don't know if that's what's supposed to happen, but that's kind of what it sounds like. It is a siren princess and a human prince who are both fighting to protect their kingdoms. I think they both have their own hidden agendas. I have to restack my books. I did not think this through. Next up, we have The Hurricane Wars by Thea Guanson. Thea Guanson. This is a enemies to lovers fantasy romance that is set in a Southeast Asia inspired world that is like ravaged by storms. Just hearing that alone makes me want to read this book. Also, the fact that it's Hurricane Wars makes me think of the beach. Once again, my thought process when it comes to summer books, I take it literally. I see that Allie Hazelwood has a blurb on the back. She says, I physically could not stop reading. Hannah Witten, who wrote For the Wolf, she says, The Hurricane Wars has everything I love. Intricate world building, unique magic, and a gleeful, smoldering romance. I'm obsessed. Next up, we have Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I have had this book for a while now, and I don't really know why I want to read it this summer, but I know that I want to finally get into it. It is also a fat book, almost 600 pages long. I know Cassandra Clare, she wrote the whole Shadowhunters series, which I have not read. I did read Clockwork Prince and like that little trilogy, but I have not read any of her other Shadowhunter books. Oh, there's a sticker. How have I not peeled that off yet? But I've heard really good things about this book. I like that it's a brand new series and a brand new world that she's writing about, because looking at the Shadowhunters series, it's a very long series, and that's very intimidating to get into. So I feel like this will be really nice to get into her writing and kind of figure out how she writes her characters. Next up, we have A Sea of Blood and Sapphire by Florence Gray. This, I know for a fact, is a Little Mermaid retelling. I'm really excited. It says on the front, they wanted her dead, so she sold her soul to leave. And on the back, it literally says, as long as the mermaids live, the sea will fill with blood. It sounds like a darker version of Little Mermaid. So I think it'll be very interesting. Very excited to read it. I have not read anything by this author, so I think that'll also be really interesting. Next up, we have Curious Tides by Pascal Lascelles. Once again, probably butchering the name. The reason why I bought this book actually is because of my friend Alex. Thank you, Alex. He was telling me about this book. I don't know if he's actually read it yet, but just hearing about the synopsis just sounded really interesting, and I knew I wanted to read it. So it follows this girl who, I don't know how far back in the past this happened. A group of students at her school people got killed in a sea cave accident. So I guess they were swimming or diving in these sea caves and something happened where they all drowned, but she was the only survivor. After this whole incident, she finds herself with these like healing powers and she doesn't really know how to control them or where it's from. And she ends up finding help from one of the girls who died, her brother, who's also a student at her school. But at the same time, one by one, each of the students who died end up washing ashore and they're alive. But then almost immediately they die this like gruesome magical death. I think she's going to end up having to face some of her ghosts from her past. And the rest of the books that I have on my list, I do not own yet. So these are more fantasies. The first one I have is When the Moon Hatched. I've heard great things about this. I know that it is a fantasy that went viral on Book Talk and I don't really know a whole lot about it. I've watched a vlog by another booktuber and she tried to explain it, but even then I didn't really understand. I'm hoping that I can get into it and love it just like everyone else did. Next up, we have Daughter of the Pirate King. This one I've heard great things about as well. I know they just redid the covers. I ended up ordering on Pango Books one of the old covers because I actually really liked the older covers better. But our main character, she is a captain of a ship and she's searching for this like ancient map. And so she decides to allow herself to be captured by this enemy pirate ship in order to search their ship for this map. I really love Pirates of the Caribbean, all those movies. So I'm really excited to read about pirates. And the last two books are both new releases that have not come out yet, but I'm so excited for them to come out. First one is Reckless, which is the second book to Powerless, which is by Lauren Roberts, I think. I absolutely loved Powerless when I read it. It was a 5-star read for me back in the fall time. And I know Powerful, like the little novella, just came out, which is about her best friend in that book. I think I'm going to wait to read that book until Reckless comes out, like read it right before Reckless to kind of get me back into that world and that mindset. So that way I can kind of like re-catch myself up with the story. So this fantasy world, it's a world of elites. So all these people who have powers, and our main character is an ordinary. So she does not have any powers. However, in this world, ordinaries are considered dangerous. So they have been slowly killing off ordinaries. And our main character ends up in these dangerous trials for the crown. And she's trying to pretend to have powers when she obviously doesn't. When I was reading about the synopsis for the second book, it makes me even more excited than the first book. Like I think I'm going to like the second one more. I'm trying to not get my hopes up too much. I don't want it to ruin the book for me. And the last book that is on my summer TBR is The Curse of Sins, which is the second book to The Curse of Saints, which I just read back in January, which was also a 5-star read for me. So I'm so excited about this book. In this fantasy world, our main character, she is like the queen, third in command. So she's like her assassin. This night happens where she ends up with these powers. She doesn't know how to control it. She doesn't know where it comes from. The queen, second in command, who's the enforcer, he is also trying to help her, and it's enemies to lovers. I might have to reread the first book because it does involve a lot of different like types of magic, and I think that'll be hard to get back into. So I think I might reread or skim through the first book again just so I can reacquaint myself with that world. Wow. Okay. Oh my gosh, they say here perfectly. I feel like I'm cheating. I really wish I had all of the books so I could hold them here and like challenge myself. But sadly, this is all we're getting. And that is it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. Hopefully this gave you some ideas for this upcoming summer so you can make your own TBR list. And I'm just so incredibly excited. I can't wait to start filming videos, reading these books, talking about these books. I just know that this season, this summer, is going to be a good one. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next video. Happy reading. Bye.